I'm a Hello. Good evening, Chuempala. Good evening, world. Thank you for joining me, Elias Munshya, here on TVBAKWETU. As usual, we encourage you to share with as many people as possible so that they can join us in our discussion today. In addition to that, you can like us, you can invite others to like our pages across several platforms on across social media, and you can also send stars and subscribe and become a monthly supporter of TVBAKWETU on YouTube, on Facebook, and other platforms as well. So we are very, very excited to have you here today. Now we need to be very honest. The fuel situation around the world is very dire. Right now in Alberta, Alberta, where I live, is an oil-producing province. Canada is one of the world's largest producers of nearly everything. Nearly everything. It's a mining country, and here in Alberta we export oil. So Alberta is an oil exporting province. That is the main thing that Alberta does, and so prices of gas have gone up tremendously. The last time that I was filling gas, I paid $1.67. Now that's a lot. $1.07. So $1.07 is almost at today's rate, okay? 1.67. Today's rate is 14 Canadian dollars. So it's about 23 kwacha 38 in way when we use the 14 kwacha exchange rate. So about 23 kwacha 38 in way. That is the price in Canada. It's extremely high. So we are complaining here a lot. These are not very usual circumstances, and so kuliyukuyirishania mulando wakwatu mutengo wa fuel kuno kwa better now. I'll be joined by both Mr. Frank Saliki and Mr. Patrick Chilufi as we continue our discussion, and I believe that they are likely to confirm the same thing, that imitengo sha gas nashinina sana here in Alberta. The price of gas is revised anytime, days actually. So fino we are paying 167, but my sanga it's 170. So they do it daily. So there isn't like price stability as far as gas is concerned. It goes up and down every day. So the price you paid yesterday is not the same price you're going to pay today. That is what happens in this oil-producing province of Alberta, okay? And I do understand that today the Energy Regulation Board issued a price increase in gas. It's pretty sad. So I want to hear from what you, how you are feeling about it. It's not about me interrupting or trying to explain my own theories, but just to hear from you. How are you experiencing this price increase? It should be difficult, and it is difficult for everybody. Now, I don't know who you can attribute the recent rise in crude oil. Some are saying that there is this increase in crude oil because of the conflict in Russia and Ukraine. The Botswana government as well also adjusted fuel prices just yesterday, on the 28th, 3 days ago. And so it appears like nearly many countries are adjusting gas prices because of all this instability. And because of this, America has released millions and millions of crude that it has in what it is called strategic reserves. So apparently this is what America does. They have piles and piles of gas. They keep them in strategic reserves so that in emergencies, they can use their oil, right? So I think President Biden has authorized America to offload some of that oil for themselves as a country, so that they can storm the difficult time that the world is facing at the moment. It will be summer, so for those that are unfamiliar with how the world, much of the world operates, particularly the colder climates. You see, in the south, we are really blessed with the kind of weather we have. And so energy dependency is not as much for just basic survival. Much of the North actually depends on huge energy to survive, just survive. So there is natural gas, there is heating of the homes. If we go Canada, you can't survive without heat. So the fortunate thing is with spring and summer coming up, so we are likely to see that in natural gas, it's likely to remain quite stable because tuleya more hot season. Kuno. Otherwise, if this were cold season and there is pressure on gas from Russia, there is pressure of gas from Ukraine, and there is pressure of supply chains for gas, in fact, it should be bigger than what we are experiencing at the moment. So would I blame to say that abalengere nyaba kwabati buteko bwaba ichirema bwalengo kwabati mitengo shinine? I wouldn't do that. To be honest, this has nothing to do with governing nangu imitekere ya chalo. You see, it has nothing to do with imitekere ya chalo. Ishimitengo are all over the place. It's happening everywhere. And abanandi balaisa landa nabo bene fuchiri. And so we're asking my friend Kembo. Now Kembo is my friend. So won't say Kembo Munandi, childhood friend. Imagine Kembo, childhood friend from 1997 to date. 1997. How many years are those? It's crazy. 20 plus years. So Kembo learned that they are going to be releasing 1 million barrels a day for the next 6 months. Iwe Kembo, does America have these many reserves? 1 million barrels a day for the next 6 months. 1 million barrels a day for the next 6 months. Okay. Simple, because if it have bomba na common sense, so nsha won't common sense, nala won't calculator. 1 million times 30 days average times 6 months. So you mean America has 180 million barrels in its strategic reserves? Okay, boy, I can't believe you. Please come back with better math. 180 million barrels that America has in strategic reserves. How much strategic reserves do we have in Zambia? Anyway, so the issue of energy, really, we are going to continue talking about it. Now, this is not to say that it is not biting. It is, and it is a huge economic issue in Zambia. We are going to face a very huge economic issue because of all this. Number tekwambo sonto munoe ati eulengere yo tebu teko bwaba hichire mabulengere imitengo eshinashini na konse. Could you, of course, have a suggest that they bring back the subsidies? Now, even where we are right now, government takes no duties from fuel at the moment, which means E26 kwacha per liter is actually without government taking its tax from oil. So it really tells you that it's pretty expensive at the moment, and it has nothing to do with what the government is doing. Some argue that why can't the revision of prices be taking place every 3 months rather than monthly? In my own opinion, I think monthly revision of rates was good for the consumer. It is also good for to help with planning for the government, because a 3 months revision, let's assume this 4 kwacha that has been increased today, it was going to be increased only after 3 months. Who was going to be paying that extra 4 kwacha? It was going to be piling on the national debt. So you can't take control of your economy like that. Then we will go back to the same mismanagement that used to take place under the Patriotic Front. If you mismanagement under the Patriotic Front, of course, but also they were not courageous to make very strategic decisions, structural decisions. They were afraid. They knowledge that as long as Valeiva, they lacked the courage to make difficult decisions. That was the major problem we had with the Patriotic Front. As long as they are stealing, I want you to be very clear about it. The Patriotic Front, as long as they were stealing, okay, Kembo, I believe you. I don't believe your numbers because it's astronomical. 180 million barrels of strategic reserves. Wow. Okay. Kembo. All right. So that was the issue. There were definitely problems, right? But they lacked the courage to make difficult decisions in order to affect the structure of our economy. Knowing that once you invest in the structure of our economy, the foundation to have the country develop and grow and stuff like that. No, Patriotic Front, when as long as Valeiva, Tabare Sakamana, if the debt continues accruing at 4 kwacha or 6 kwacha per liter, Tabale Sakamana, then as long as at the end of the day, they'll get a cut out of it. And when you do that, you are actually mortgaging the future of the country. You are spoiling the future. Of course, abalipo inonjita kumfwa bwino ati imitengo tashire pamulo. But in actual fact, kuntanshi mufuremo ya mkufwa ya 6 kwacha because it will not disappear to anywhere. Takuli uko 6 kwacha or 4 kwacha ya alaya. Ni 4 kwacha. 4 kwacha it's still there. What you are doing, is that kuntanshi. And as long as you run an economy on the basis of kuntanshi, you're going to continue ballooning your national debt. And in fact, if Patriotic Front, before you know it, it will be a national debt of 29 billion. Okay? So never face to kulanda ama opinions and elonara miletera nomba abanenso abo twala chisana be discuss iriash. Okay, so that's on fuel price increases, and that's my opinion about what is happening. But it is definitely going to bite. It is biting. It is biting me. Personally, it's biting me. It's biting everyone. Nafivipa, and we hope kuba tavena Russia vala ibuela mopantu Russia na. Russia vafyongo, Putin vafyongo. Don't even be cheated about no at vasungu. No. Uletereko hinkondo ni Putin. Ewa wafia. Pantu takwa boku ingirire chalo. You see, Ukraine chalo, that is independent. Takwa boku landa tiyo weka chalo. Pantu we share some history. Elonech tundu tulanda chali palana. I want you to do what I want. Takwa befyo. Kainka Ukraine akachalo nangu kanono ninshikachalo kukachindika akachalo nangu kachepe shane. Size does not matter. Akachalo akanono akantindi kachalo, just like Malawi. Mamona ka Malawi kachalo akanono, but fidafine ka Malawi kaba nakukena kachalo nomba if we as Zambians tekuya nomba Malawi okubeba ati imwe yu Malawans mulande chinyanje cha kumwesu, mulande chitumbu cha kumwesu, mulande chichewe cha kumwesu, nemfumu gawa undi nimfumu yenu so twalapo kolola. No. Fide chitika kubena Putin. Bebere pantu imumwe kachalo imwe abama westerners atu abatemwa so yuweka ero baya muko kabomuna. No, imagine. Ero nomba mwaingira ini longwe ukwambo kubomuna. The very people you are saying at Invabololution, why then are you sending bombs? At iyo mgwaipa ntu abasungu na bena bali bomu na Gaddafi. Nomba imwe. Baya bomu na Gaddafi. Ero nomba mwasumi na ati yo na Ukraine nomba Russia ibomune. Okay. If NATO bali rufianyo kubomu na Libya, so nomba nishi Russia mwaisumi nisho kubomu na Ukraine, how naima? That's where the issue is. That's why nomba Russia ile bomfia tiyo pantu twalikwata oil. So if we kanji kuzambe tuambe kukushita oil kuli ba bululu shesu ba Kongole na Mangola nzain. Eko twakulashita fi. Imagine we are near Angola kwa oil no but it's too katuishine fichtika ati alipsana at oil ya kwa Angola na oil to wonfe alipsana anyway katuishi. But anyway, that's it about fuel prices. So once we are going to work together, we are going to persevere through this very difficult time. Tatuwakula sontane minu ko batiwa balenga ni ba HH bakaere muri uyu mulando. Ain. Elo ninjishwa next month I think imitengo shikabwela pantu this 1 million per day Americans batampa I think it's going to be just fine. 1 million per day. It will put pressure on Russia so that Russia beishiboko bati tatulea mukupapata. Because that's why they're doing war at you, because if we give you gas, shani nomba, kwe mukubomu na Ukraine. 30,000 jobs for teachers. Once a teacher, be ready because an advert is going to come out soon. But teacher, 30,000 new teachers. We are looking forward to that. 11,276 new health jobs. That is wonderful. We know that the process for applying has started. I had my own concerns and several other of our team members who got psychologists. But other than that, 11,000 new jobs. Atama lines kulusaka, they are very long. Mulaiposa fianchita mulusaka. Kavieni ku Milenge, ama line itakuli ayataliyo. Go and apply from Milenge and help develop Milenge. You know? Fionse mwate mwafie mulusaka. Zesco, I think I'll leave it up to my my friends so that to reach the discuss Pantu Liakula. You see, sometimes to be realistic with some things. You know, sometimes to be realistic. Ngawaipsha Mazambians. Okay. Do we have logs? Most of us say that we do actually. Because tulashimone milemote. For example, when you are moving from Kitwe to Mfulira, Zafiko, we see the trees in Milemu. And we are moving from Sabina to Ayako Chingola, Nagoku Inetura Mona Zafiko Emilemu. So when you ask any Zambian, our opinion is Twalikwata. Right? That's Twalikwate Fimut. Twalikwate Fimut. Nifinge Fimut Twakwata. Fiale Pashan. Stwapanga logs. Ayaku iminike po fia Zesco. If we want Zesco, so right now there are 60,000 backlog. If it was Zesco Baderanda, 60,000 connection backlogs, 60,000. Now imagine 60,000 bantu hapa apply kuli Zesco so that ivapere ichite connecta malite. 60,000 connections backlog. Here's the problem. If you are not making difficult decisions as you go, you are postponing a problem. So Zesco FLH for the past 10 years. BAPF baleiva no kuishtire myoto kokubomvya Zesco no kuchita employer makadas. But they were not making fundamental decisions to push things that really affect the Zambian people forward. No. 60,000 applications backlog today. Now, how are you going to clear it? You need pause. Where do you get pause from? The Zambian market can only supply at 2%, at less than 2% of what Zesco requires now. So we say that we have it, but in actual fact, we can only supply so much. Ifi ni common sense. Achakutira imwete mpange ya Zambia. Kainge kufua yako uko mungashita. And you are buying all those poles so that muchite connect abantu 60,000 ayoma connections. Tukaleranda kofimbi. Teti Zesco lyonse tulanda vepama connections ya 60,000. Lero that if gababomfya ayakaka plan bakwete by December 2022, nishi your backlog by ichita overcome, which is pretty good. Okay, but anyway, napuisha my own opinion on my own rant. I'm now going to bring Patrick Chilufya. Chilufya Mwapolen.
Enditaba Munshya. Oh, there's a. Where is it coming from? Okay, it's okay. Enditaba Munshya. Mulishan.
Ndifya bueno, how much is gas huko?
Ba Munshya, irelia she nali shopa. The moment inkondo yata mpira yako Russia because the UK depends on Russian gas.
Yeah.
though we've got the North Sea gas, but most of the gas comes from Russia. So that affects also petrol at the petrol station. I would give you an example. Last month I went to the petrol station. Fuel was £1.29. That's petrol.
Yeah.
Diesel was 130 something. Today, petrol is £1.69. So which means it's about almost 40 kwacha per liter. So
Yeah.
it's not only Zambia, it's global. It's expensive. So America, yes, they've got the reserves to cushion the price
Simon,
of yeah.
Kembo Anjewat, it's 1 million. They'll be releasing 1 million
Yes, it's
liters a
true.
day.
It's true. America, as at the 4th of December last year, they had 494 million barrels of crude in reserves. So ngabakwete 594, ngabafunyapo 180. They still have another almost 150 million.
If
No,
you
more
have
than that.
serious,
Yes. So in case of a war, they will use that oil,
for at least 2 years. They're covered for 2 years.
for 2 years, yeah. Yeah, but the thing is they've got money. Yeah, Luanda, unlike Zambia, we cannot afford subsidies. Luanda, they've subsidized because they've got money.
No,
Just to
Rwanda
cushion.
naimwe kachalo akanono. Actually, tautira turefo kusuna kwa kachalo tukachite Russia, Ukraine.
Yes. Yeah, but Luanda they've subsidized. Obviously, kanono akachalo. And obviously tabakwete nkongole. Tabakwete nkongole shotukwete. But Zambia bamunsha. Tuli munkongole. And
29
if we
billion.
yes, if we subsidize fuel, where are we gonna get the money? Because we have to get the money from somewhere else. Yeah, so we are in a terrible situation.
Right.
Botswana bali nini kama Botswana bali kwata reserves, but how come vena banini kanishita bafunisha reserves bachita cushion the price of fuel, but
South
never
Africa the same.
South Africa the same, bigger economies than us. And then bamunsha Zesco, yeah, Zesco, the point abantu balelanda yakwe bati because Zesco balishita issue state, minister nabashita issue statement lelo that they are buying amapos ya South Africa because we don't have the capacity. But Bamunsha, I take you back 11, 12 years ago. SATA stopped a tender of one of the ministers. I think it was Godfrey Waliamwamba. He was going to supply the same amapos from South Africa, but apparently they said the price was just too much. So Bamunsha, if 11 12 years ago twalishibya ati tukwete capacity ama timbers yafuma ku South Africa, why didn't we increase the capacity? We've got Zanaco. By this time Bamunsha file fimu tinga tulepanga mu Zambia.
No, you're right. That's why tufuna kuba honest. You see, that's the thing. Pantu tatuba honest ichishinka.
Yes, shinka because twala for efintu fya fast. Ero nga atubazanako nga bachita planti nishibala bakelenka tabaliemo. Because ni bakelenka ba supply. Mamunsha Zesco ni cash cow. Minister of Health ni cash cow. So so 10 years ago Satali Shibe he stopped a tender of about $2 million. So 10 years ago bamunsha katwatampira kubyala efimuti nga twabyala finga.
Yeah. Number so which means the capacity to akwata kupanga fie at 2%. So 2% of however many to lefwire. Because even industry kwati na chifactory tatwa kwata uko wako
Na factory kuchita treat ifimut. So but all that capacity gapali will political will tituachita. But the problem is ni shortcut because GBM alachita supply shadi gatwa increase capacity ya kusafiko because GBM alikuwa tena transport, so alachita South Africa tena transport, so panga shani ndalama
and then actually increase
margin. Increase umtengo. That's why Basata stopped it. Basata stopped that tender because it was overpriced. So gatwalishibe that time 10, 11 years ago that people are overpricing ifintu. Why didn't we increase capacity kunani kuzafiko?
All right. Okay. I'm going to bring Linda Banks from the Linda Banks show on TVBAKWETU. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me.
So I take it that umutengo wa fuel imwe na bachilufya fimo finite nangu imwe dimbi na uchipako.
I think about 2 weeks ago, Wali Dulasana, I think I even posted on my page because with my new commitments, it was costing me about £25 a week in petrol. But after the war in Ukraine, it started costing me about £40 a week. So that's quite a jump. But after Boris Johnson announced that Babika Kwama subsidies, it's reduced slightly from Vachilufia. Vachilufia mkukile mwes. Not significantly, but now it's reduced by like maybe 60p per liter, which is, it sounds like not much, but if you drive like I do, it takes me an hour to get to work.
Even in different locations, kuyuke mtengola psana.
Now, Sanako, you could live in the same area, but if you live on the what they call the posh side, petrol becomes more expensive, right?
Oh,
so
like London. London is more expensive than where I live in the south.
Southeast is more expensive. But also, just to add that, like what Patrick was just saying, our dependency on the Russian oil is not as much as other European countries. For us, I think the United Kingdom only imports about 8% of Russian oil, and the rest comes from places like Qatar
and the North Sea.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Now I'm going to bring Masheke. Masheke, mujibi epi.
Kanawa, mnoja kilunava muchwani.
Eni shangwe.
Shangwe.
Yeah. Number.
Aka. Family.
Aka, here is the thing. We are the four of us here, bonse tuli mu diaspora. Number, what is the problem with getting oil right in Zambia? What is the issue? America has yonsa reserves barandire bachilufia. Nga ifu wakwata reserves yanga mwadishiba.
I think we have to look at the structural problems that we have had in the energy sector. We shouldn't look at it individually as oil and petroleum subsector of the energy sector alone. We should look at it because if you look at the problems that we are experiencing in the energy sector overall, they're structural issues. They're really structural issues. And that's why, and I'll come to your point, Baba Munshya, the issue is, and Bachilufia in fact touched on it, it's an issue of lacking long-term planning, sector by sector. He touched on the issue of pause. We have trees in Zambia. South Africa, we do have them.
Fipi.
The problem. No, the issue, Dr. Munshya, is that we are having structural problems, and we have had these structural problems since the MMD time. There's never been a government that has planned, and I keep talking about this even in my vlog videos, about why the energy ministry must start putting together policy formulations that actually look at the structural, backdrops that we have in the sector. Let me be very specific here what I'm talking about. We are importing oil right now. What's happening? This is how it's done. Government allows the oil and marketing companies to import finished products, okay, into the country. And what has happened is that allowing that arrangement, we have a lot of middlemen that are in between suppliers of oil and also the end users, right? First and foremost, that inflates the costs. Number two, we have the issue of lack of investments into infrastructure. You have Indeni here, huge potential that can only process and refine a certain specific type of oil that comes from Middle East. When Angola across the border has enough oil to supply Zambia, the only thing you need to do is invest in the technological advances with Indeni, or build a totally new pipeline from Angola into northwestern
province
or western province, and
Correct.
build a refinery in one of those provinces, a strategic refinery that can refine Angolan oil. That way we can have, first, you're going to cut out shipping costs from Saudi Arabia to the ports of Tanzania and so on and so forth. Then you ship it into Zambia, or
But yeah.
ship finished products from South Africa on trucks to Zambia. You're going to cut out. But this goes back to the issue of planning and strategic investments into the energy sector.
Okay. Now we've got to ask very honest questions. We are 7 months into the new administration, into the new dawn, which is our government. We are not ashamed to say that this is our government. How are you looking at all those plans? Now, I'm not saying what they've done, but how is the planning going?
First and
I know
foremost,
you're not involved in the planning, but
no,
how
I'm
are
not
you?
involved.
Do you think
I'm not sure really what some of the what I know is what the president has done. What the president has done is focusing on dealing with an overall rehabilitation, for the lack of better word, and of the economy. Because you got to understand that this economy was damaged. This economy was not growing at all. It was, in fact, contracting. What that means is that we were actually shrinking as an economy. That's why you saw astronomical high levels of unemployment, because the economy was shrinking. You cannot have, and I keep doing this every time I come online. Here's the thing, people. You can't have employment You can't have this without growing the economy. You can't. You can never. And anyone who thinks that Zambia is going to create employment, and I'll come to your question, Mr. Munshya. We have to fix this, including anyone who says, oh no, 26 kwacha per liter petrol is high. It's because people have no jobs. People can't afford even a minuscule increase in anything. Tomato, onion, any small increase, they're going to complain about it. It's because people are unemployed. That's what the problem is. And because of that, we have issues where the government don't even have strategic reserves in anything. Like the Americans have, like the other European countries have. So what the president has done, coming back to the issue of planning, right, is concentrate to fix the macroeconomic disaster that we have had in the last 10 years.
Okay, so
What we
macroeconomic.
need,
What is that macroeconomic structure?
well, you have the issue of plugging what we call economic leakages. Number one, economic leakages basically involves corruption, straight up corruption, a lot of back-end dealings in procurement, government procurement, and all those things damages the economy. And we actually lose efficiency in procurement. The government loses billions and billions of kwacha. So the president has embarked on fixing those things. Those are macroeconomic stuff. So what we are trying to do, and then the next thing is also stabilizing in macroeconomic issues, stabilizing prices, general prices in the economy. Others call it inflation. Okay, is moved to stabilize the foreign exchange rate. These are building blocks. These are things that when they are stable, the other stuff on the production in the background can be built on. Now, before you come in, Dr. Munshya, I want to connect this to the planning. Your question about planning, long-term planning on energy sector. The president at overall level is looking at fixing this. The functional roles of ministers become key in changing and formulating policies that help reduce the prices of fuel, maize, and Zesco tariffs. Because what they need to do now, the president has laid down the foundation. We need ministers, the new dawn ministers, to engage in very proactive processes of formulating policies that will help at function level, help build capacity and infrastructure.
Now, are we on track?
Not yet. I can't say we are on track right now.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Now, what words would you briefly? What words would you have for people right now? A Zambian buying fuel tomorrow, gas at 26 kwacha. What word do you have for them?
It's called intertemporal. What we have right now is a negative shock as a result of disruption in supply at global markets in both commodities and
Putin.
Exactly. The war has done what we call in economics a negative shock to supply side of economics. And what usually happens is that shock is what we call intertemporal. And when what is happening is that eventually oil prices will come down to their intrinsic value. So what you're going to see is, first and foremost, you're going to see what we call interventions, mitigating interventions by government, various governments across the world, right? You have seen the USA tap into their strategic oil reserves. You have seen the UK do the same. You've seen those that have those strategic reserves, they'll tap into that to cushion that intermittent period of negative shock. Those that don't have, we have to bite our tongues and eat it.
Why not Congole?
But it's not permanent.
Why can Zambia borrow? We can't?
No. We're not going to do that. That would be a mistake. You're going to cascade the problem and enter into huge, even more problems. Okay, you're not going to borrow for just fixing, bandaging.
To cushion.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. What we want to do is weigh it out as a nation. Remember, Mwanawasa said, we got to tighten our belts. We have to tighten our belts. There's no other way to do it.
Now I want to ask Wolinda, from the communication perspective, I know that we as TVBAKWETU have a role to play. Actually, we've called up on ourselves to be categorical in the way we communicate certain things. Do you think there is like what Aka has said right now, is are we getting this message from the government?
The simple answer to that is the communication could be better. We are getting the commission, but I think it could be better. It could be more simplified. It could be a bit more consistent, and we could actually do with perhaps one solid voice explaining all these things to an ordinary Zambian. It just sounds like the president has gone against his words. They don't understand what is happening in the global market. All this stuff, economical stuff that Aka is articulating, all of us here, especially the ones in diaspora, we can relate because we're experiencing this. But speak to Banangole, abalipa market, pausakile market, vale chef tumbo. She won't get that. She won't understand that. And people like, sorry, Patrick, it's easiest name.
Bashinkole bakulwa. Bashinkole. Mafuwaini bashinkole.
How is put it when they
Chef Tumbo. So on the communication aspect, I think we could do better. Definitely. I've heard the likes of Anthony Walia on the radio articulating himself so beautifully in Bemba. We need more of that. We need, whether it's on the radio or going, if you have loudspeaker. If you like sticker, tighten your shiny, your belts.
Now,
this is going to happen, and then people can be prepared.
Now, I want to bring in Bama Panza, because Bama Panza, you are a party functionary. Bushe, am I right to say so, eh?
Yes, Doc, I am. Since
you are a UPND functionary.
Yes, I am.
I'm the chairman, equivalent of you.
No. I'm the secretary to the International Relations Committee.
Now, so Aka has explained some very important things, and I think all of us do share Aka's point, Mr. Akashambatwa. Because we must be fair. If we are calling Mr. Chirufia, Nangwati, Miss Banks, Nangu, Mr. Sadiq, Mr. Akashambatwa has explained very well some of these things, but it appears like there is a gap. Now, it's either the people are not paying attention to UPND people explaining. They are switching off. Or maybe we are not doing it better. Like the crisis we are facing, the reason why subsidies should not be reintroduced. There are so many economists right now that are saying, bring back the subsidies. And to bring back the subsidies, we must borrow. And we are oblivious to the kind of impact that such a borrowing would have. The government has its role, but is the party communicating as well? Bantu divisha ma voices kaidi. Kolondolola. Mleti poshan wonkirimba.
I think we need to do more of Kolondora, because I think really there's a bit of a gap there. And you see it with every issue that comes up. Even the recent attacks on the president. One would have thought that the part would have been more proactive. We have in the party different committees. For example, we have the International Relations Committee, and then we have Agriculture Committee, we have the Finance Committee, we have the Health Committee, and all that. But it's like when an issue comes, it's like you hardly hear anything coming from any of these committees. The party needs to be more active than it is right now. We should not leave everything to those that have been appointed in government to explain the party policies, the party manifesto, and how that is being realized on a daily basis. So yes, I agree. We need to do much more as a party to speak to issues that arise, and as soon as they arise.
Right. And so I think the narrative today has already been set. It's expensive. Nobody so far. Maybe we are doing it, and Mr. Akashambatwa did it here today, in trying to explain to our people to calm them down. This is a shock that has come, and it has nothing to do with the UPND government. It's world over. We can't resort to temporary situations such as we are Kongola in Congole, because tatukwete na capacity ifwe tatukwete as a country. So are we going to tighten the belt? Ba Jacqueline Chishimba. Ba Chishimba Wesu. Are we going to tighten the belts?
We have to tighten the belts. Munshya, there's one, firstly, good evening to everybody. Great points. Wakashambatwa, fantastic analysis and advice, and to the rest of the team. What we need to understand is that this country needs solutions. And President Hakainde Hichilema, together with his government, need a lot of support. In the area of communication, and I'll start with the party functionary because we have a party member. We have seen the opposition going onto radio and social media and even warning well in advance that they're actually saying President Hakainde and his government, UPND, want to increase fuel increase in the next 1-2 weeks. Nobody from the party has gone on those radio stations to go and actually warn as well and say, yes, we know there'll be a fuel hike. And the reasons are the following. Very relaxed. That's one. Two, there are teams that are slowly beginning to understand that we all need to regroup and inform our people. Inakunchele konfuma. Bana kuluba kanji pishafi ati. 200 muntu minana ile kokukwana mulandu inga government mwabikapo. Balelunda fiefintu chilamweshi fintu filenina. Mulemfa? Nomba ngatakuli waku balondolwela. What this means. That's what she'll have in her mind. And it will be such a negative perception that even when you bring a good thing to her, that perception has sunk in already. So we want solutions. One, in the midst of this tough time, tough process towards a better and recovered economy, we need to teach our people survival skills. Okay? Tampeni kulima kwa gardens, gardens. These are realities of life. And no one should be embarrassed to do these things.
Nomba, ama survival skills. But we are coming from a history for the past few years. This is serious. Alamwandi wa PF bali ona wire chalo. Noko na ulobongo bongo bwabantu. Baingira mubongo. Ero baya ona ulobongo. We have a distorted view of reality because Zesco, Amapos and everything, kari ilo. When these Zambian companies, what they mean is, vayashte fintuk South Africa, elo no mabaisa mukushtisha Zesco at 100 times more. And Zesco pays because of corruption. Frank Sadiki.
Very true, Munshya. But what is the solution? One, the solution is, can we start the outgrower schemes for the pause? Zimbabwe has done that, hence that big plantation in Mutare. Do you know that any Zambian that was given a contract to get a pause, you could just go to Mutare, where the Zimbabweans grow the pause. Our pause that we put as Zesco. So why can't we just say, okay, Zafiko, what outgrower scheme can you do? These are solutions, our solutions.
Okay, Vachimba, you mean those polls we see Pasabina? First of all, yeah, no, they are not enough.
Mkwai.
Elo yepi. Akoeka reality abantu bamubali kana balinda na bakana sana ngana ndati kepi. I don't know why.
No, we do have the long pause.
My fellow Ushi here is Akashamba twa, and Fuevene twalikwata.
Bamusha, mpenkofe pano no fie nchite kona explain something. I am oppose once to land. I'm oppose yala bola. You get it? Yala bola I'm oppose. Ili ngikula but no pona ipona amatema itsia lili no na fivola. So granting South Africans to supply us pause or asking Zambians to supply pause is not the solution. When you go south to the Lusaka South Economic Zone, the Chinese that were putting up lights there had a light, whether it's a steel or aluminium, pause. Not pause. Now, we have so much of that steel in this country. And this is why I am saying we should really think through things and be about solutions. Because there are pause South Africa. Now,
that's understandable. The issue is, I think Zesco is in a very tight spot. Okunaba kwata 60,000 backlog of connections inherited over the years. Obviously, they have a contractual duty. First of all, they are making losses. They give us a service very cheaply. 60,000 new connections. So tulore rokupanga using steel.
I think Apo Namlanda Februino.
We need an emergency situation.
But if you recall,
South Africans, let's do it.
Yes, if you look at the statement from Zesco have said, we've awarded these South Africans the contract because the Zambian contractors that supply pause still have running contracts. So what they've and sometimes it's about timely delivery. So they probably feel, look, if we have John Chakuti Talachita deliver the 20,000 pause we've been waiting for, how can we up their order? It's not possible. Let's allow them to deliver. Let's go straight to the source so that we obviously meet that backlog very quickly and, be up to date with connection.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank
you. I think there are a lot of areas to look at here. First of all, what I would say is there's a narrative, just going back to the Petro situation, there's a narrative that opposition want to give. And I think you asked the question if the government are doing a great deal to communicate with the people. And frankly, for me, the answer is no, it's not enough. There's propaganda being spread out there. The people with the wrong messages are way out there. And I think the president promised that there's going to be a lot more communication. And I think in this time that is needed. People need to understand. People need to understand that the government is not getting taxed from fuel. People in Zambia don't understand that. They're just thinking it's being increased. Actually, the government is getting nothing from fuel. So that needs to be communicated. And in terms of supply of the pause, again, we need it now. We have to look at what we need now and what we need to develop. Over the last 10 years, there's no development that has gone on. And that is a thing that always happens. We don't look at developing. What happens in the next 20 years? What can we build for the next 20 years? Everybody wants something now. Yes, in terms of people want jobs now, people want everything right now. But we have to think of, do we want to live in a state where we want everything right now? In the state where there's no manufacture. And I think my brother Aka mentioned about creating a proper manufacture, proper structures in the country. And that is never been created over the years. And as long as there's no proper structure, you can't expect to build a strong economy.
Right. Now, my fellow BAKWETU crew, we've got to end here. Because they're only per month end, so they can have to. This is already 24 hours per month end. Thank you very much for having joined us here on TVBAKWETU. Boaka will bring you back again because we know that you, Mr. Akashambatwa, from Luapula, you have a lot to say and you continue giving us those.
From Luapula. We'll go back to Mongu, not Luapula.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Mr. Munshya, for inviting me. I'm excited that you're having these discussions. And I hope that people can tune in and follow TVBAKWETU so they can get proper information. I want to leave the people with this. The fuel pump prices will come down very soon. I can't give you right now the timeline, but we are, give or take, we are looking at maybe in the next 1 or 2 months, you're going to see the the oil prices begin to come down. As long as the Houthi rebels in Yemen don't bomb Saudi Arabian facilities as well. If they don't, disrupt Saudi Arabian oil supply on the market as well, we might begin to see that slow, decrease in oil prices. And something you're not talking about, Munshya, I'll give you this as a homework. The UPND government passed a very, very important energy policy through the Energy Regulations Board. They said we're going to adjust the prices on a monthly basis, so that we can align, so that we can align. Okay, thank you then. That's important, Munshya, because what's going to happen is that as oil prices on the international market begin to drop, you're going to see those benefits come to the people on a regular basis. So when oil prices go up, you're going to see them increase. When the oil prices come down, you're going to see them those reductions. So reductions are coming. Take me for a word. Prophet.
Bapombo. Abalengo okubati muiranda polelo niba Jacqueline Chishimba na ba Mr. Akashambatwa abena lwapula banene.
Yeah, but Bamunsha before Bapombo bakashambatwa
inina ilishanya kwena nomba abene ba Mirandu te bakashambatwa abene ba Mirandu ni Bamunsha. Yesu.
Final judgment.
Don't you think what we're talking about here is there are short-term solutions? Don't you think we need long-term solutions in terms of planning?
Yes, no, you are very right. But as we develop long-term solutions to the energy sector, right? There are certain interventions, and I keep talking about them.
All right. Thank you very much. This has been a presentation of TVBAKWETU. We are going to come back tomorrow and deal with all these topics again. Thank you very much. God bless you and God bless our country. Join us tomorrow with Bo Aka and Patrick Chilufya, and then we are going to continue with our conversation. Good night.